Hey guys, welcome back to CheatSheetPros.com. Today is Friday, March 11th, 2022. Hopefully you're following us on Twitter and you saw the college basketball best bets that I had posted. But for this video, we're looking at player props and prize picks for the NBA slate tonight. So as always, we're going to jump right into this. We've got our NBA cheat sheet here. You can see we've got all our tabs here for daily fantasy sports, DVP, sports betting, and my favorite sheet, the last 7 for player props. In all my past videos, I've went through this sheet, showed you how I use it. I'm going to save you that time today, and we're going to dive right into the props. Also, something new today, I've worked on looking at the last 10 games to get a better glimpse of how they're doing. So let's go ahead and take a look. So the first category I'm going to go over is assist. So Steven Adams over 3.5 assists is one that jumps out at me. You can see here he's been over this in 4 of the last 5 games, not over by very much, but 3.5 is a pretty low number. And then the last time he played the Knicks, he did have 4, and over the last 10 games, I believe he was 9 of 10. So we have Steven Adams here. We're going to pull up his game logs on RotoWire, and we are looking at 4 assists. So over, under. Okay, so he is 9 of the last 10 games gone over that number. So I like 3.5 assists. It's something a little sneaky, a little different that you can go after. Another guy to take a look at for his assist is RJ Barrett. He's got a low number of 3.5 here. You can see he's been over this in 5 straight games. And then he has been over this in 8 of the last 10 games. So 4, 6, 4, 5, 7, 6. In just the last 6 games, and then 2, 2, and then a 6 and a 5. So he's constantly going over this number. That's another small number I think we can take advantage of is RJ Barrett over 3.5 assists. Let me get those closed out. Another assist one, and this is one of my favorite plays. So I have 4 favorite plays that I did the majority of my bets on. So this is one of them, and it's going to be Saddiq Bey over 2.5 assists. It's a small number. I like it. He's coming off a 6 against Chicago. And then he's played Boston 3 times this year, and assist-wise, he's had 3, 6, and 4. So he's been over all 3 times, and he's been over this in 7 of the last 10 games. So we're looking for 3 assists. He's over, under, over. So he's about a 70% hit rate in all 3 against Boston, so that's one thing that we do like. So one of my favorite plays is Saddiq over 2.5 assists. And then I'm going to jump over to rebounds. So one of the rebound props that jumped out at me was Zubac over 8.5. Taking a look at this, he's just barely sliding over this, but he's consistent. 9, 9, 9, 9. And then he's been over this in 8 of his last 10 games. So over here, we're looking for 9 rebounds. So he's got over, under. So he's over in 8 of his last 10 games. And the last time he played Atlanta, he had 13. And let me see, it was before this game log here. I don't see it. But last time he played Atlanta, he had 13 rebounds. So I think Zubac over 8.5 rebounds is one you can definitely take a look at. And then going over, Terrence Mann popped on a couple of things. They didn't have his 3-point shots on prize picks. That's one that jumped out that I wanted to see, but I do like his rebounds over 6. You can see he's been over this number in 4 of the last 5 games. And this last game against Washington, Washington's not a good rebounding team. He went over it by 150%, putting up 9. So 9, 8, and 7 over the last 3 games. He's also been over this in 8 of his last 10 games. And the last game against Atlanta, he had 7 and slid over. So looking at this, we've got a number of 6. So we're looking at 6 as a push, so it doesn't hurt us. So we've got over, under, over. So he's got a lot of overs. Basically, 8 of the last 10 games he's been over. So at an 80% hit rate, that's someone that I do want to take a look at. And then moving on, one that jumped out is, you can see over here on the top of the cheat sheet, Jason Tatum was one of the top guys. And taking a look at this, his points prop is really high, but he's been skying over that number. But one that I really like was his points, rebounds, and assists number. So 41.5, we need 42. He's been over this in 7 of the last 10 games. Now, the last time he did play Detroit, or actually, I guess he's got 3 games against Detroit this year, and he's 1-2. So he's only went over it one time. He's been under it 2 times. I believe I looked at that right. And so Tatum, we didn't pull up his PRA because I didn't want to add them all up, but 52, 62, 48, 48 just over the last 4 games. So Detroit tonight, 41.5. I like going over there. That is one of my favorite plays that I went with just because he's been so hot recently and going over that. So that was my number 2 favorite play. One of the other ones that jumped out was Nito over 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists. This seemed like a really small number to me. And you can see he's getting over it the majority of the time. He's been over it in 3 of the last 5 games. But what I really liked is he's been over this in 8 of the last 10 games. So these 2 that you see here, he missed. And then he's got 5 overs before that. So Nito over 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists looked pretty good. And then looking at some points prop, Terry Rozier is one that jumped out at me. So he's been over this in 3 of the last 4. He only had 14 against Boston, which Boston's a really good defensive team. They're one of the best in the NBA. But prior to that, 30, 31, 29, he was doing really well. So looking at his game logs on how often he has 21 points. And we had, let me see, under, over, under, over. So he's getting over the majority of the time. I didn't write down the exact number out of 10, but it's 70 to 80% of the over. And one of the things that really jumped out at me, and again, Rozier is my number 3 favorite play today. Pelicans have been moving fast, scoring a lot of points, and Charlotte has the ability to score a lot of points, so that's another plus. But this was 20.5. Everywhere else I looked, his prop was 21.5. So this means one of 2 things. Either Price Picks has a soft line, which typically they do, or they opened it at 21.5 and they had so many people hit the under for some reason that is unknown to me, they dropped it to 20.5. But I like 20.5 when I put this in the calculator to determine the 21.5 versus 20.5. 20.5 on a straight bet would be minus 230 if you were laying it. So that means you're going to lay 2.3 units to win 1 unit. So getting it as a straight leg on Price Picks is a huge advantage there. So I like that. That could jump to 21 or 21.5, but I like 20.5. That is my number 3 favorite prop today. And let's go ahead and take a look at number 4. And that's going to be Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. And so one of the guys in the chat's the one that put me on to KCP, and I realized he had been doing really well. So you can see over the last 4 games, he's got 16, 19, 28, and 15 points. We only need 13.5 against what's a really poor Lakers team right now. And he's also, so he's got a 4-0 run, and then over the last 10 games, he's been over this 7 times. So we've got, see, 13.5, so we need 14. So he's over, just barely under, way under, over. So he's been over this in 7 of the last 10 games. So this is one that I do like because it's a small number. We could get to that quickly, and there's a lot of avenues and paths that we can take for him to hit that number. So going on, I always have you guys message me, say, hey, you bet too many overs, you don't have any unders. So I have 2 unders for you to take a look at just for you guys. So one is Jonas, and I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name, but his points prop at 21.5. So looking at this, he just had 30 against Orlando. So maybe he's turning it around. I don't know. But that is something that I do want to take a look at. Prior to that game against Orlando, he only had 10 points against Memphis, 19 against Denver, 4 against Utah, 17 against Sacramento. And you would be shocked. He has been under this number in 22 of the last 24 games. So I don't bet unders. Whoops, I shouldn't have clicked that. I don't bet unders, but if you do, that is one I definitely think you could take a look at. And so you can see here these other games, he played 30 minutes, 19 points, 31 minutes, 17 points, 28, 19, 33, 18, 34, 16. So he's playing 25 to 35 minutes, but he's just not getting this number. And then the matchup that he has tonight is against Charlotte. They're kind of so-so. He's got a good spot there, but if he's been under this in 22 of the last 24 games, that's a hit rate of like 8 or 9%. So I definitely want to look at an under there. Now, another one that I think you should take a look at and I hate looking at unders, but I've just tried to get you guys what you want to see is Devontae Graham under 15.5 points against Charlotte. Now, you can see he's got an 0-5 run here, and 3 of these games he only has 7, 6, and 3 points, so he's been way under this number. But what would shock you, so let's pull it up. So how many times has he been at 15 points or less? So let's take a look. Under, 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 over, under. So he's 0 for the last 10, and in this entire strength of games here, or leg of games, he's only hit 16 one time. So I'm just curious now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So 15 of the last 16 games, he's been under this number. And he doesn't play a lot of minutes in all of these games. So let's see, 29. So all of these are 20 and less. I'm sorry, 29 and less. He had one game of 31 minutes, and that's when he got 16 points. He went over it by a half. And here, look, 32 minutes, 6 points. 32 minutes, 6 points. 29 minutes, 9 points. So if you want an under, I don't mind doing the Devontae Graham over. And even if he goes over this number, I'm not mad. He's been under it so many times. You're just playing the odds here, and especially on Prize Picks where you can do a 5-man flex card and you hit 4 or 5, you're at least getting even money, double your money, however you want to look at the buy-in. But again, so some of my favorite props are Sadiq Bey over 2.5 assists. He's been over that in 7 of the last 10, and all 3 games he's played against Boston. Tatum, points, rebounds, and assists over 41.5. He's over that in 7 of the last 10 games. Rozier over 20.5 points. Reason is he's been over that about 70% of the time. Plus, this normal line should be 21.5, so we're getting a discount. KCP over 13.5 points. He's on a 4-0 run and over that in 7 of the last 10. And then I'm going to go ahead and put this Devontae Graham under 15.5 points since he's a 0 for 10 and a 1 in 15 for this under. So that's what I got. Good luck, guys, and go make some money.